welcome to the channel, and in this video we are going to be talking to you about how to grow the wonderful Zantedeschia aethiopica, commonly known as the Arum lily. And luckily enough we have one just over here, now named in honour of the Italian botanist Giovanni Zantedeschia. This absolutely gorgeous thing is native to Lesotho, Mozambique, South Africa, and as such this has evolved to grow in a Mediterranean effect climate. I know that South Africa is not on the Mediterranean, but it's a very similar kind of climate. Mild winters, warm wet summers, and as such you can just about get away with growing it here in the UK. In fact, if you're a little bit concerned about how cold hardy it is, there is a cultivar called Cobra which is a little bit more hardy, but even so this is just a straight Zantedeschia aethiopica. You can just say that Aethiopica does not mean it's from Ethiopia, which is what's that, Central Eastern Africa. It's from the ancient Greek novel Aethiopica. No, I haven't read it. I say, who do you think I am? Now, according to the Royal Horticultural Society, my favourite horticultural society, the Arum lily is classed as hardy, able to tolerate temperatures down to between -5 degrees centigrade and -10 degrees centigrade. And I concur, because we've had this plant outside here in our garden for the past couple of years, and 2 years ago temperatures went down to between -7 and -8 degrees centigrade, and last year went down to -5 degrees centigrade, and yet they've all produced foliage and all started to flower again. Although in its native habitat it is considered evergreen, but it will lose its leaves if it either gets too dry in the soil or if temperatures get too cold. And of course in the UK every year is too cold and it will always lose its leaves. So deciduous in the UK, hardy everywhere else. That's nice. That's not a bad trade-off to get those blooms. I mean, let's have a closer look at them. So here we go, here's a close-up of the glorious flower, though this isn't actually a true flower. This is a modified leaf known as a spathe, and in the centre here this protrusion, this is called a spadex, and rather than being bee or butterfly pollinated, it's actually beetle pollinated. Let me see if I can see one that's showing a few more beetles on it. There you go, beetle pollinated. Now, this species of Arum lily, if you want to grow them in your garden, you pretty much can most places in the UK. Grows to about 3 foot tall, and it can, under excellent conditions, you'll probably get it a good spread of about 3 foot, a metre wide as well. You can grow it in both full sun or shade, but you'll get better flowering in full sun. However, there is a benefit to being grown under a canopy, because over the winter, if temperatures do drop quite low, the leaves are likely to stay on longer, so they've got the protection of a canopy above them. But even if they do die back and they do kind of melt into this slushy mess, they'll bounce straight back in the spring. It's absolutely fine. Just keep them watered well during periods of drought. Indeed, in their native habitat they tend to inhabit areas such as river banks, sides of ponds, marshlands, wetlands, and you can even grow it in the UK as a marginal pond plant. I mean, it does struggle a bit being completely waterlogged all year round, but it will grow, will flower. But really, put it in full sun, put it in a regularly moist yet well drained soil, it will be absolutely brilliant. It's not too bothered by pests and diseases. I mean, that you can sometimes get issue with thrips, aphids, and every now and again you can have a problem with slugs. Let me just show you what they've been doing to ours this year. There you go. Zantedeschia, they like the cool, moist conditions, and also these slugs like the cool, moist conditions, so you need to put a little bit of management down here. I generally either come out at night and try and pick them off, or put down a beer trap. The slug pellets are pretty rubbish nowadays, so I really wouldn't bother with those, but there you go. On the whole, not too bad. Actually, there's a bit of yellowing on there. That could probably do with a bit of a feed. You know, with any sort of plants that have vigorous foliage growth, you know, they are going to be a bit heavy feeders. So a high nitrogen food such as Miracle Grow, they'll sort that out no problem. And you know, once you've got one of these, you can divide them quite easily in the spring. I mean, I had, I think I was given 2 plants by a friend of mine a couple of years back. I've got about 5 or 6 around the garden now because they just lift and separate, no problem at all. So as an ornamental plant for the UK, especially on the south coast, it's absolutely brilliant. I love it, and we've got loads in our garden. So it's one of the plants that I thoroughly recommend. But if you are a bit hesitant about growing such an exotic looking plant in your regular suburban UK garden, then don't worry, because the Royal Horticultural Society have trialled Zantedeschia aethiopica and its cultivars, and you might be interested to know that both Crowborough, one I mentioned earlier, and also Green Goddess have both been awarded the RHS Award of Garden Merit for being bulletproof, excellent plants. So if you've got any concerns at all, pick one of those. You'll have no problems, mate. I do love Zantedeschia. Okay, now despite my glowing reference for the Zantedeschia aethiopica, there are a couple of things that you might want to balance your decision with. Every part of this plant is toxic, contains calcium oxalate in every part of the plant, as I just mentioned, and also in countries such as Australia and New Zealand, it has become rather a pest plant. And in fact, I think Green Goddess is a notifiable plant in New Zealand. So just bear that in mind, because I'm aware that it's not just English people who watch these videos. Everybody watches these videos, or at least they could do. They can find them. Stupid YouTube. And the problems don't stop there either, because, and it's a damn liar too, despite being called an arum lily, it's not a true lily, it's an aeroid. Get out my pub, you slag. Yeah, Lorna just told me to explain that that was a cultural reference from the UK hit soap series EastEnders. Well, there you go. That's kind of everything that I have to say about how to grow Zantedeschia aethiopica. And if you've got anything that you'd like to add on that, any great tips, anything special that you want to mention, then do so. Put it in the comments. We would love to hear from you. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye. Well, if you enjoyed that, we've got plenty more videos for you to look at. Just have a quick search into our video library. Otherwise, you can check on this one here. And if that's not your cup of tea, try that one there. Enjoy these while I've still got the energy to do them.